Well, aloha kakahiak, everybody. Today is October 29th, 2021. And this is the Hawaii real estate. This is the living in man. Did I botch that one up big time? This is the Aloha Friday Hawaii real estate show. I'm Peter Kane. I'm glad you're here. I am here. You are part of the you're part of the we can screw up section of the show because it hasn't officially started yet. It's not going to start till 9 o'clock, and I am living up to that name and screwing up royally. But I am here with my friends Dylan Nonaka from the Big Island, Scott Startsman from Oahu, and Heidi Dallinger, who is hailing us from Maui. We're going to do our normal wake up, test the microphone, see how the net connection is working. Why don't we start with Scott this time? Scott, give us a mic check, give us an Oahu check. How's it going there, buddy?
Good, man in the middle. Yeah, things are great this morning. I actually was able to get up and do a full-blown workout and stuff. So I got the blood pumping and sweating. I feel good. And now I think I've matched my shirt to my coffee cup. It's an all fall theme today. It's all orange and everything. So
so what was the workout? What was the workout? A jog or a swim or what?
Actually, it was more of a recovery time. I had a pretty intense workout yesterday, so I ended up doing like squats, push-ups, body weight stuff, and then I sprinted up the hill a couple of times. So it was a couple of rounds of that just to get the lungs burning.
God bless you. God bless you, man. Heidi, how's it going over there? What's the coffee today?
Well, my workout this morning was walking about a block to the coffee shop and getting
That's the right workout.
And this is one of my go-to favorites. It's the red katuai, and it's just amazing. But my personal news to share is I just got engaged last weekend.
So. Oh, hey, congratulations. Good for you. I'm so happy to hear that, Heidi. Let's see the ring. Where's the ring?
Well, it's getting sized.
Okay, it's getting sized. All right, I want to see the ring.
It was really amazing. We hiked to the top of this waterfall at Makamaka'ole, and he proposed at the top of the waterfall. So it was
Oh man, that's so romantic. I'm so happy for you, Heidi. I am so happy for you. That's wonderful news. Dylan, let's give us the Aloha shirt update. What's going on over there, man?
I got a Sig Zane on this morning. Barely made it in time. When I first came on, I still had a t-shirt on, so I had to go run and grab it from the washroom where I ironed it. But yeah, no workout this morning. Friday is a busy day that starts at 5 a.m. with a call with a bunch of East Coast people, and then I had another one at 7 and another one at 8, which I left early, and then now this is the 9 o'clock call. So been a long day so far.
There you go. Well, that's the right way. That's the right way to do it, man.
The thing I look forward to most. So happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, everyone, the congrats are all coming in. Of course, first one from Auntie Joyce. Congrats, Heidi. Awesome. Congratulations. Yes, thank you, Auntie Joyce, and also congratulating Heidi. And you got 13 days to go. Man, you must be really homesick. I can imagine, Auntie Joyce, that now I've been living in Hawaii, and now I kind of spend a lot of time on the mainland experience. Everybody gets to have that every so often, right? You kind of spend years over here, then you go back. And good morning, all. Val is with us. Good morning, Val. We're glad to have you here with us. Thanks for being a part of what's going on. Yeah, Dylan, I think that since we're talking about workouts and non-workouts, my working out is on Wednesday, typically, if I can. Wednesday and Saturday, Makapu'u Beach. Get up in the morning, get there right just after sunrise, get on there. And Wednesdays are great because there's no one there at all. I'm typically the only person on the beach. There's nothing is more fun than being on the beach by yourself in the water, being the only guy in. It's like amazing. And of course, Makapu'u is amazing. And then on Saturday, we go, hey, Tom, welcome. Tom is back with us. And Judy's back too. Judy, welcome back. Good to see you. Great. And glad to have you be a part of it. All right. It's 9 o'clock. Let us rock and roll. And who else is coming over? Jeremy's back. Jeremy, welcome back. Jeremy, give us an update, buddy. Are you in Maui now? Did you get your appraiser deal going on? All the hellos are all coming in. The ohana is piling in. So Neil is back with us. Aloha, Neil. Great to see you back here from Silicon Valley, and Kelly. Kelly is back with us. Kelly has coined this amazing term. She's bi-coastal. And bi-coastal means that they live on the West Coast and also in Hawaii, which is really cool. It's the coolest way I've ever heard that, bi-coastal. And Jason, I have missed the last couple of weeks, but Jason, we are glad to have you back, buddy. Welcome. We're always going to be here and ask you all to join us. All right, let's get started. It's 9 o'clock. Let's do some quick. I got some quick news updates. Heather's back with us. Welcome back, Heather. Good to see you. Let's get some quick news going on, and let's. Here we go. Let's kind of get this thing going over. Okay, so a couple of things going on. It looks like it looks like things are loosening up on the COVID front. It looks like things are kind of loosening up. Now we've got, for example, the mayor Blangiardi said that they can hold outdoor and indoor seating events at 100% capacity. That's never happened before, so big time. You'll still need to have masks and proof of COVID-19 vaccination, etc. But at least you'll be able to do it. Can't have food yet, just water only, but it's coming. And looks like the bars are opening up a little bit, 50% capacity and they'll be able until 2 a.m. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of happening. So now we got the next up is no masks. It's possible. There's again, this whole loosening up thing is kind of happening. The governor is saying that if the case counts drop below 100, stay and drop below 100, they may lift the mask mandates. So that's kind of cool. And there's some talk that the federal regulations over flights are going to override Hawaii's safe travels application. So there's changes in the air, folks. And you see how those two. You zoom in a little bit. You can see those two graphs here. The upper graph is the number of cases. We're way down back again to where we were kind of pre-Delta spike levels. And the fatalities have also dropped. They're coming to near zero. So all in all, good news. Looks like things are kind of moving along. So Maui tax relief. I want to hear what might be. Maybe Heidi might have something to kind of share about this. But I found there was looks like there's going to be an interesting development, which they're talking about having a tax break for Maui landowners if you've lived in the property. Let's see, three generations back or more than 81 years. So interesting. This development is kind of favoring residents, favoring long-term residents. That's going to be an interesting development. I wonder where that's going to go. Now, if you've been 3 generations back or 81 years, apparently your taxes are like next to zero, $350 a year. So let's see, I've been here for 40 years. I got 40 years to go, and I too will qualify for that. And finally, lava buyout. So I want to hear what Dylan thinks about this one. There's they're moving into where if you had a home that was destroyed by lava, if you were an owner occupant, you could have earlier gotten they would sort of buy out your home. But now this is apparently going to people that have a secondary residence. If you have a secondary residence on the Big Island and it was wiped out, destroyed by the 2018 Kilauea eruption, apparently you can get they will buy back your property. So that's kind of interesting. That's all I got for this week. It wasn't actually I had to scrounge to pick up these stories. We're all talking about it was a quiet week. But anyway, that's that. Let's kind of go around the table over here. Let's go clockwise to me. So Dylan, then Scott, then Heidi. Dylan, anything else? Have you heard about that? You must know about the lava buyout. But what about that or anything else?
I don't. I'm gonna look into that now. That's news to me. So
okay, there you go.
I will
awesome.
check into that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anything else? There's my phone call. Is there anything else going on?
It's been pretty quiet. Town's pretty quiet. There's not that many visitors here right now. That's gonna pick up. And I think that was mainly a result of Ironman getting canceled. Right. Normally people avoid Kona and because everything is booked for Ironman, and then Ironman got canceled, and then nobody showed up or nobody had plans to come. So that'll ramp up here as we get into November. But it's been nice. It's been dry. That's the big news, is that after a very wet year, we've had a week or two of no rain, which is odd, but almost welcome.
Awesome. Scott, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I think it's quiet here on Oahu too. I mean, since Ige said stop coming here, it feels a lot more quiet, and it's been much, much easier getting into restaurants, setting up restaurant reservations. I mean, I went out twice this past weekend, and I was able to get reservations either the same day or the day before. We went into the restaurant and there was like 4 other people in one of them. So it's much easier being able to go out. Part of that vaccination card, having to show that is probably a little bit of a challenge for people. But even when I was on the Big Island last 2 weeks ago, the 2 times I had gone over earlier this year, I couldn't get into a single restaurant weeks in advance along that coastline. And when I went over this last time, I was able to get into every restaurant that I wanted. And when we went into some, there was maybe 4 or 5 people in those restaurants. So it's just kind of quiet. And I'm kind of interested to see, once we loosen up, okay, are we going to have this ebb and flow that keeps happening? You know, you have some spikes and whatnot. Okay, let's go get restrictive again. And I'm kind of interested to see how things go, not only just from tourism and then from just the day-to-day ease of going in and out and whatnot, you know, going to restaurants and stuff. Can you hear us, Peter? I think we lost Peter.
We got to carry on, Heidi. What's going on in Maui?
Well, not too much big news on Maui. I mean, just commenting on the tax rates, property taxes in general, the policy's been to keep them low for full-time residents and owner occupants. And now there's an additional tax exemption for people that are doing long-term rentals. So they want to tax the short-term rentals and timeshare the very most. So that's always been the policy, and they're always adjusting it a little bit. But compared to a lot of places on the mainland, if you're going to live full-time on Maui, your property taxes are going to be pretty low compared to a lot of places. There is kind of a, oh, hi, Peter.
Whew. Keep going.
We carried on without you. We don't need you. You're fired.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm just going to keep talking, but
Keep talking, Heidi. Keep talking.
So, I mean, I guess one of the there is a controversial bill that's being introduced, and this would impact owners of short-term vacation rental properties, TVRs, or transient vacation rentals. The proposal is for short-term rental properties in apartment zoned areas, which there are a ton of those on Maui, and they've been legally operating as vacation rentals for, I mean, since these properties were built 30, 40 years ago. The proposal is, so this is not passed, I don't know if it will pass, but if you sell a vacation rental property, the new owner can no longer use it for vacation rental. It would have to be full-time owner or long-term rental. So that would be, if this does pass, it would be quite significant. So it's just a proposal at this point, but there always seems to be, the trend is, you know, to try to limit short-term rentals, provide more affordable housing, and then it's just all political and figuring out, you know, what's the best way to do that. So I won't get into it further, but
Well, one thing universal, it always ends up being a mess. That's the unfortunate part. It always ends up kind of all kinds of strange, conflicting interests, and God only knows who's going to win. And even when there's a decision made, that's they don't enforce it. At least that's been the experience here on Oahu. Anyway, sorry about that. We had a very inconvenient power outage. So all of a sudden I'm talking and bam, power goes out. So thankfully we recovered and the power's back again. So I apologize. Who's up? What did I miss? Don't tell me what I missed, but who's up next?
We got it all covered, Peter. We went the circle already. I think you're next.
All right. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, then in that case, did we do the real? Hold on a second. Did we do the real estate update? Hold on a quick second. Let me get my.
We hit the news.
Okay, great.
That's where we're at.
Excellent. Okay, great. So why don't we do that? Let's pop this guy up over here. All right. So are we ready for we did the little news, and now we're going to do a real estate market update. Is that kind of where we're at? If that's where we're at, why don't we do that? Let's go right down the line. Dylan, Scott, and then Heidi, give us the real estate. What's going on? What's with the market that's not crazy, where the market's nuts and it's gone bananas? What else? Give me something else, Dylan.
Well, it's kind of status quo from the last couple of shows that we've had. So we talked about the inventory falling all year and then hitting a bottom in July. And then since August, September, and then now October, it bumped back up. So it was below 400 homes on the market for the whole island. It's up about 420. So it went up a little bit, but it's not continuing to climb. The last couple of weeks and month has been pretty stable. So although there was a little increase, we're not seeing any kind of like flood of new listings coming on the market. But we are seeing the lower priced range properties being overpriced, and then now they're not selling. So for example, in the Kona market, there's hardly anything. There's 7 houses under 650,000. All of them are not in the greatest shape, but they've all been on the market plus 3+ weeks. So some of them 60 days, a lot longer. So the frenzy of buying like everything cheap has kind of ended. And I think we've kind of crossed that threshold where the prices have been driven up so far that buyers are not pulling back and not buying. And so we're seeing a little bit of a price correction. I think definitely on the lower end. A lot of the higher end stuff, the 1.2, 1.3 million stuff is still selling pretty quickly, but the lower end stuff has kind of hit a price ceiling.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a good news there. We are kind of finding the upper are we finding the bottom or the upper end? But we're, like you said, we're finding some price resistance. So it,
Yeah.
you know, at least for that lower range, there is something. There is a there is a, I don't know if they call it a bottom or a top, but there's something there.
People are not paying $700,000 for fixer uppers at the moment. So.
They're not paying $700,000 for a $300,000 property, right?
Correct. Yes.
Right. So we had a quick congrats that came in from Tom. This is Tom to Heidi. So Tom says, congratulations, Heidi. Had to rewind to hear the news. Yeah. So everyone who just joined us, if you haven't seen this yet, Heidi, our very own Heidi, got engaged and she received her proposal at the top of a waterfall. So that's pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool, Heidi. Scott, what's up on what's going on with Oahu's market? You're muted.
Yeah, I just got a notification this morning of a major fixer, and this thing was a beaut. It looked like it was about to fall down. In fact, it says don't go on the property due to safety reasons, and it was listed at $775,000. So the fixer over here is alive and well at $775,000. No, it's interesting, man. I keep doing these deep dives, looking for little nuggets here and there, and literally every neighborhood across the board is 18 to 25% price appreciation for single family homes this year to last year. The single family home price for the last 2 months has been the median price has been $1,050,000, and on condos we're at $478,000 for a median condo price. Days on market is literally 11 days for condos and 9 days for single family homes. They're not staying on the market. And to what Dylan was saying about the number of listings, we have 440 active listings right now. And so I went back last night. I said, you know what? I'm curious to see what that 2005 to 2007 portion looked like, how many active homes were on. I went back to all the stats that I have. And the bottom month, the lowest month of active homes at that time was 811, almost double what we have now. So just amazing how little inventory we have on the market right now here on Oahu. And we brought up, and this is neighborhood, every neighborhood is the same. Kahala's up 35% for median home price. We brought one on the market for $3.5 million. And in that first week, we had 6 offers. I'm seeing it across the board. Condos, 40% of condos are selling above the list price, and 67% of single family homes are selling above the list price. And then if you look at Eva Beach, 80% of homes are selling above the list price. So nothing's changed. I do kind of feel like we've had a little bit of fatigue, and we're coming into the holiday period. I do expect a little bit of a slowdown, both on listings coming on and just kind of buyer activity. But it's the numbers haven't changed, so I don't anticipate the fundamentals changing right now.
I saw thanks. What? Go ahead.
But the one thing to keep an eye on, interest rates have bumped up a little bit. They bumped up about 0.5%. So that's the key factor for me for decelerating this thing and slowing down. Interest rates going up is going to slow this thing down quicker than anything else.
Well, interest rates are indirectly a price increase, right? Indirectly, they're a price increase on the market. I saw an interesting graph. I wish I should have thought about it to bring it with me, but I'm sure that you know this. But I saw this very interesting graph that, you know, since COVID, single family homes on Oahu have taken a big leap in prices, a huge leap in prices, whereas condos actually took a dip initially, which I'm sure was reflected because of the Waikiki condos. And now they've kind of returned back and they're sort of on their curve. They've increased well, but it was a huge jump in single family homes.
Yeah. And if you look back at that 2005 to 2007, I was actually shocked. The months of inventory remaining for single family homes is at 1.2 right now. in 2005 to 2008, it was actually 2.4. We're lower in inventory in single family homes now, and condos was actually their months of inventory remaining during that 2005 time period was much lower than it is now. So it's almost reversed. Condos were selling more in that 2005 range, whereas now it's single family homes, and that's natural. You know, people wanting to get out of condos, they want to have some yard if you're going to be staying at home. That was that whole COVID component that played into that.
I think that COVID component's been huge for a variety of reasons, and not the least of which is if you're going to be working from home, you need that extra bedroom, et cetera, et cetera. So the 3-bedroom home, all that kind of stuff. Congrats have come in from Jason to Heidi. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Jason. I'm sure that Heidi really appreciated it. Heidi, the newly engaged, got proposed on a waterfall. Top that, right? Give us the update for Maui, Heidi. What's going on with Maui's market?
Well, the boots on the ground update is it is still a pretty intense market with a lot of buyer demand. Don't see that slowing down anytime immediately. I'll just share a couple of stats so you can compare them to what Scott reported on Oahu. The year-to-date median sales price on Maui for a single-family home is $999,000, so just under $1 million. And for condos, it's $645,675, which is up 14.3% last year. And that's across all properties on Maui. If you get into certain neighborhoods, some have had a lot more appreciation. Compared to 2020, the inventory on the markets, I was looking, it's actually been pretty stable, but things are just selling so much faster in 2021. There was a statistic out last month that condominiums going under contract have increased 118%. I mean, that's just a huge increase. But I mean, we're also comparing this to last year when the island was shut down for a large part of the year. So that really slowed down the condominium market last year. And I was kind of looking at a graph just of historical pendings and sales over the past 10 years. And the biggest spike it looked like was in the spring, like March, April, May this year. And then it's gone down a little bit, but it's still above anywhere else it's been for the last 10 years. So it's just kind of crazy. In 2018, 2019, I mean, it was just a little slower market. You'd have buyers that were, I wonder what's going to happen in the future. I wonder what's going to happen to the market. And then the worst possible thing happened. The world shut down, COVID, global pandemic, and now everyone's like, go, go, go. So that's just where we are.
Yeah, it really is a wild moment in history for sure. I mean, you name it, right? The supply chain now we're all kind of freaking out about, and I know it is a sign of the coming apocalypse when I go into Costco and I can't get Kalamata olives the way I used to. If they're out of Kalamata olives, that means that the end is near. I know that for a fact. I think it says it somewhere in the Bible. If Kalamata olives are not in Costco, it is a sign of one of the coming apocalypse signs. Hey, we got a comment from Mary Jean. Welcome back, Mary Jean. Good to see you again. Aloha from Chile, Illinois. Mary Jean, give us an update. What's the temperature right now in Illinois? I want to know. All right, let's move on, everybody. We got first of all, I want to give you a quick thing. If you've come over, if you've been here, if you came here through the newsletter and you found out about this through the newsletter, then you're already on. But if you are watching the show and you're not getting the weekly newsletter, you definitely need to sign up. Go to livinginhawaii.com. There'll be numerous links there to jump onto the newsletter, get connected. You get notified about this show every other week, and we send videos and all kinds of content. Make sure that you're on the list. All right, let us move on over here to our topic for today. So I got this. This was a good one, and I think I'm looking forward to a good discussion for everybody. So this came in from Ann. And Ann is asking, is it easier for a single retiree to get socially established on Oahu or on Maui? I frequently travel to both. So I think that the topic that I wanted to kind of have with you all, to the discussion between us, is how does whether you're a retiree or whether you're single, or if you're coming with a family, either way, what are some good ways to get socially established? What would you say to people that are considering? Let's take Anne as an example, but let's have a conversation about, what do you think? What's your advice on getting socially connected? Because it's super important. You don't want to come here and be by yourself. And if you're by yourself, it's only a matter of time before you're going to go back. How do you get socially connected? What are some best practices? Let's go clockwise again. Dylan, Scott, and then Heidi. Dylan, what would you say to Anne, who wants to get connected? Even if Anne's asking for Oahu or Maui, but that doesn't matter. Big on it, it's irrelevant. It's Hawaii.
Yeah, it's easy. Just be nice and meet people. That's one thing that people are just shocked about the Hawaii culture, where you're just going to get invited to stuff. People will embrace you, make you part of their family. I was just talking to.
So what would you do? So what would you do to go get invited to family? I'm sorry, I cut you off, but that's kind of what
Yes. The question is, what are you into, right? I mean, do you have hobbies? Are you a church goer? What is it? Because we have all of those resources and community organizations and groups like everywhere else. One of our organization that I'm a part of that I always encourage people moving here to get involved in is the Kona Historical Society. They're an organization. It's really the only museum type organization on the west side of the island, but their mission is to preserve Kona's history, and there's lots of volunteer activities, and the people who you'll meet there are volunteers a lot of times in the same stage of life that have time on their hands, and you can get involved that way. There's many different ways, whether it's knitting or card playing or whatever. It's canoe paddling. There's lots of canoe paddling organizations, and a lot of that maybe wasn't happening over the last year and a half, but that's all coming back now. But I always reference the Hawaiian cultural practice of hanai, right, which is like adoption in English. Is kind of the term, but it's different, where it's not like a legal formal process. It's more the practice of taking people into your family, and it can be children or younger folks. But I also hanai aunties and uncles into my family, right? So if you like Auntie Joyce, right, she comes here, she doesn't have family here. And if she's got to move a couch into her house, who does she call? She calls me and my brother, right? I mean, if you need young, strong people to help you, like I'm her hanai nephew, and I'll help her. So that type of culture exists everywhere, and you'll be surprised. I don't think it exists anywhere else as strongly as it does here. So you will not have a problem.
Yeah, there's a really interesting that's a really good point, and I think the nugget of the takeaway is, well, it's a combination of a bunch of things, right? It's your attitude, first and foremost. You kind of said that in the beginning.
You got to be someone people want to invite into their family.
You got to be someone people want to invite to their family. We actually talk about this quite a bit in the Islander Ohana courses that we go through. We talk about the whole spiritual transformation that you have to go through, the cultural adjustment that you have to go through. But it's all about kind of joining those groups. And Kelly, who is a member of the Islander Ohana, talks about Facebook groups as well. There's all kinds of Facebook groups out there. That's a place to get started, to get that connection. But of course, you want to get to that face-to-face connection. By the way, Mary Jean says 54 degrees. Mary Jean.
Congrats to Kelly. She's under contract on her house on the east side. So
all right, Kelly, under contract. Congratulations, Kelly. So Kelly, is that going to make you a tri-coastal? Because if you're a bi-coastal and you're buying in Kona, will you be a tri-coastal? That'd be kind of cool.
So she's buying on the east side.
East side.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
So
it's another coast.
East side of Hawaii, west side of the United States.
There you go.
I guess that's bi-coastal, right?
I guess that's bi-coastal. It depends what coast you're talking about, right? Excellent. Mary Jean says it's 54 degrees in Chicago. Mary Jean, in Chicago or Illinois, that's still like warm weather. People still walk around in shorts. They're washing their cars, with T-shirts on and everything in the 54. Come back, Mary Jean, in February. That's the one I want to talk to you about in February. Jason says, every time I've been to the islands, I've come back with additional friends. Some I still am connected with today. The Ohana is a great place to start. Jason is a member of the Islander Ohana, and that's kind of a bootstrap place, right? That's what that's one of the things that the Islander Ohana does. We've created an Ohana that people share. Now, Dylan, I was going to ask you, Auntie Joyce here, neighbors are also a great source for socializing. That's the most logical one, and it creates a better and safe neighborhood, and a good place to go. Dylan, I was going to ask you about your Auntie Joyce hanaing. I want to know who Hanai'd who. Did you Hanai Auntie Joyce first, or did Auntie Joyce Hanai you first? Because Auntie Joyce kind of refers to you almost as a nephew. But you know,
She probably did it first.
she probably did it first. Always call the Nonakas. They've been our saviors. I keep telling them they are now stuck with us. So there you go.
I had no choice.
There you go. I had no choice. Awesome. Yeah. So Jason, 55 and raining for days. Jason, you're northeast coast, if I'm not mistaken, right? Where are you at, Jason? Give us an update on your general location. And Mary Jean, yeah, stay with us until February at the very least. So Scott, what's your Ann did ask about Oahu. Is there anything kind of favorite group that you know about on Oahu, or how would you what would be some tips to get connected to on Oahu?
Yeah, I mean, to go to the quick question about which is easier, Maui or Oahu, I'd say Oahu just in general, because it's a city, you're going to have more options at your fingertips. So the number of options are going to be probably a little more available on Oahu than they would be on the outer islands. But it comes down to what you're passionate about and getting connected into the community, getting involved in the things that you're passionate about. I mean, one of the biggest joys for people, and happiness is giving back to others. So volunteering is always a good one. I know when I moved over here to Oahu, I didn't know anybody. And one of my things was surfing. I met quite a few people from surfing. If you go out surfing, you go to the same surf spot every morning, or you can go to any surf spot, same times, basically, it'd be the same people out there. And I remember when I moved over here, on the Big Island, I could go out super early, right before dawn, and there'd be like 1-2 people in the water. So I thought I'd be cool and do that here on Oahu. And I went out to Waikiki right prior to sunrise, and there's probably like 100 people in the water, because they're all doing that before they go to work. And it's the same people. So it's whatever you're passionate about. It's having that common connection with others and getting involved with something that you have that commonality with. And that's why, I mean, what you're doing with the Island of Ohana to me is really key. I mean, now people, one of the biggest things moving over here is not having that support group immediately, not having some of the answers. And that's essentially what you're given, is that commonality and that support group already for people that have moved over here or are doing it.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, we have these part of the going. We have a cohort that goes through every 2 weeks. We get together with an online video conference, and it's really been great. The exchange, everyone's kind of fun. You're making friends right off the bat, and we have a private Facebook group with all of the Islander Ohana alumni, and it's really awesome. So yeah, it's getting I was thinking about on Oahu, Scott, specifically. One thing that someone had mentioned to me is that they got involved with the Sierra Club, that if you like the outdoor kind of thing, which is unnatural in Hawaii, and there's also a hiking club that kind of, they basically they publish their thing, and they meet. A long time ago, they used to meet at Iolani Palace, 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and then off they go. And that is a great place where you can kind of see the outdoors, go on some great hikes, be with a bunch of people. It all works out. Hey gang, if you're tuning in, what ideas do you have? Share. What ideas do you have about getting together? How would you socialize? How do you go ahead and meet people? How would you get connected, even where you live? I'm sure the techniques are all pretty much I'm sure they're very, very similar. Hey, so here we got Kelly's got a shout out to Kelly. Shout out to Kelly Fuller. I'm assuming that's her agent or the agent on the Big Island. What a great experience. She's the best. Yeah, that's totally awesome. I'm Dylan. I'm sure that you can pass that on to Kelly Fuller, who I'm sure is going to really appreciate that. Excellent. Heidi, what's so Ann's question about Oahu or Maui socially established? What kind of details can you give Ann that what she should do to kind of get socially connected?
Well, I think you can get socially connected on either island. I mean, Maui and Oahu are just very different. So it just depends where you want to live. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time on Oahu, but when I go there, it feels more like a big city. There's definitely more people there. To me, Maui feels like living in a small town, but there are still a lot of things to do and people to connect with. And as was said before, I mean, it depends what you're into. I mean, there's book clubs here. Paddling clubs are huge. I mean, there's people that get together and go to the farmer's market and make juice. I mean, there's all kinds of things to do. There's Rotary clubs are big on Maui for volunteer opportunities. There's tutoring opportunities at the school. Because we are a smaller island, I mean, if you have any particular skill or passion, I mean, there's going to be an opportunity for you here. And I don't know if anybody uses the Nextdoor app. It's kind of a social media thing. People seem to be really active on that too. I mean, somebody mentioned Facebook, but Nextdoor is like more local to just your neighborhood. And a lot of people use that. I mean, I think if you just meet one or two people and go from there, I mean, it's really easy to meet people.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. There's a variety of ways. I think you've got to set yourself up, like Dylan said, and be the kind of person that people want to invite. And that's really on you to be that kind of an individual. But getting involved in various groups. Nextdoor is I see a lot of activity. Nextdoor, you kind of have to be moved into an area, but certainly once you've moved into an area, getting the Nextdoor thing would definitely be a helpful piece for sure. And here's Kelly Fuller, who's on the show with us. Hey, Kelly, glad that you're here with us. And Kelly's giving a thanks back out to Kelly. How cool is that? Awesome. So, hey, gang, before we move on, listen, we've got a bunch of, we've got a whole collection of questions that I've queued up that we have slides for, but the most important questions are yours. So if you got anything you want to know, pop it in the comments now. We'll try to get to it before the end of the show. Don't forget that. All right, let's move on. Great discussion on the socially established, and then hope this helps you. All right. Let's hit this one. So we want some buying advice for the Big Island. So this one comes from C. Fox from Ohio. It says, Dylan, regarding the Big Island, if you were to buy a home now, half to 1 acre in Kailua Kona with an ocean view, where would you buy? The Pu'ulani Ranch area is not really my interest and prefer more south, but north of Captain Cook. And then question 2 is, what's your most requested price range that most clients are asking for a house? And where are the majority of your buyers from right now during the pandemic? So a bunch of questions about Kona, but these are kind of generic questions, and we're going to pop these to all the other islands as well. So I think the big thing is like, hey, if you're going to buy a home now, where would you buy it? And number 2, what's the most requested price range that is coming in for asking for a house, and where are the majority of your buyers from? Go ahead, Dylan.
So in terms of where, I always recommend, this is my personal preference, but I like to be at elevation just because I think it's the perfect weather. So you can get an ocean view at 300 feet of elevation, and you can get an ocean view at 4,000 feet of elevation, right? But to me, the sweet spot is like 1,000 or 1,500. If you're in that belt, that coffee belt, you have cool weather all year round. You have a little bit of rain, so you don't need irrigation. I mean, it's just, to me, worldwide best weather you can possibly be is at 1,000 feet of elevation in Kailua, in Kona, anywhere in Kona. So that's the first thing, narrowing the search. Kona's not a big place, so it could be anywhere. I mean, from the northern side to Captain Cook, I mean, there's an upper highway that is pretty much at 1,000 feet. So above or below that, there's a lot of different options. So it's really a personal preference, but elevation, I think, is the first most important thing. For 80% of our buyers always come from out of state or somewhere else. So that hasn't changed. That's pretty consistent. And that's definitely the case now. Most requested price range, I think that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because people know what the price range is. I mean, and so it's always between kind of that 700,000 and 1.5 million is like the sweet spot where most of the inventory is. Not too much below 7, and then once you get above 1.5, it's kind of a different market. So that's where most of the inventory is, and where most of our clients come from.
Excellent. See, we got a couple of comments over here from Paul. Is 1,000-foot Kona sounds amazing. Coastal belt warm is 80 to 90. Yeah. So
and people have this vision, they want to live near the ocean, right? But in Kona, 1,000 feet is near the ocean, right? I mean, like you can be 7 minutes away from the beach because it's a big steep island, right? So you don't have to go 30 minutes into the mountains to get to 1,000 feet of elevation. It happens very quickly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You're kind of almost on cliffs there, basically. So Heather says, so don't sell my rain jacket when I move to Hawaii. Only if you have a very thin rain jacket. It's like if it's like a windbreaker if it's like a windbreaker kind of rain jacket. If it's anything thicker, if you wouldn't wear it in the summer in the rain, don't bring it. That's what I would say. And Paul says, yeah, it's a 10 minute drive. Yeah, exactly. Heather got a thing back when I asked about kind of how you're going to get socially connected. Heather says, my plan is to join a master swim team wherever I end up. Swimmers are usually pretty fun and social. Met so many friends that way. Also, volunteering would be a great way to give back and meet others. Plus, I'm a bit of an extrovert, so I'm not too worried. Yeah, Heather, I think you've got it covered.
I had a great call with Heather too the other day, so she's preparing to start looking and making the move. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it. And and Kelly gave a really good point here. It's more, what climate do you want to live in? That is the coolest piece about Hawaii, right? Is you can pick your climate. Everything. What is it like? Every climate is represented in Hawaii except like tundra, Arctic. The only climate we don't have is Arctic. I think something like that. We got it all. We got desert. We got rainforests. We have cool mountain air. We have oceanfront stuff. It's good. So awesome. All right. Let's see, Scott. What would you say on those questions? Where would you, Scott, buy if you were going to buy a house on Oahu today? What's kind of the price range that you're seeing for houses in that area?
Scott knows the Big Island. He can recommend the Big Island too.
Actually,
well, we got the Big Island. We need Oahu now.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been in the place that I want to live for 21 years. I've owned here. I mean, I'm at the base of Diamond Head, so I love it here. I would live in Kailua as well. Actually, it's funny. I was looking last night, like, hey, where is the bulk of the sales activity happening on Oahu? And it's happening between 700 and 2 million. And that's where a majority of everything is selling, is in that range and going nuts. Even the stuff above it's going crazy. But for me, I love Diamond Head. I mean, I'm right here. You got 300-acre Kapiolani Park. I walk out my door. I got 13 restaurants right here on Montserrat and shops and stuff. I'm a less than a 5-minute Uber ride right into Waikiki if I want to get in the heart of everything. But I feel like I'm in a established neighborhood with, big, tall growth trees. I mean, palm trees, things such as that. So I like the access to the urban core. But I like being a little removed and having some privacy. Kailua would be amazing too, because it's, boutique beach community. You're a little reserved, it's a little more slower pace. It's more beach lifestyle. I like the shops and restaurants over there. They got some good restaurants, and the shops are more your European style. So they're really small, and, family oriented shops rather than the big box stores, but you can get into Honolulu with a 30-minute drive.
Awesome. So Heidi, I'm assuming you're living where you'd want to live, but where would you live if you were going to buy a home in Maui? How would you answer those questions? And by the way, Scott, I'm sorry, Heidi, let's back up for a minute. What's the price range in those areas that you talked about, Scott?
Yeah, Kailua, I mean, you're probably 900 to 2 million is the bulk, and it definitely gets above that. There was just a sale not too long ago in Lanikai for 24 million. So that's a high price range, but 900 to 6 million is kind of where it runs in Kailua. And then Diamond Head, if you get in Kapahulu, which is across the street, you can get 900 to 2 million. There's not a whole lot that goes above 2 million because the lots are smaller. But if you're in Diamond Head, it's 1.5 to 6-7 million. In fact, if that circle right here, I'm right off Diamond Head Circle. There's a couple that went there for close to 10 million.
There you go. So Heidi, Dylan, did you mention a price range about the areas on the Big Island? I can't. I'm a little bit spaced out after my power outage. Did you?
In Kona, it's like 700 to 1.5. I mean, there's definitely stuff that sells above 1.5, but that's where the bulk of the inventory is at.
700 to 1.5.
Yeah.
Heidi, so let's get back to you now. So what, Maui, what's your where would you live? Where would you buy a home in Maui, Heidi? And what's the given price range about those homes?
Well, I live in West Maui and I love it. I think the sweet spot for weather is in the Kaanapali area, which is the entire west side of Maui. It's considered Lahaina, but there's all these different neighborhoods. And as you go farther north up the coast, it gets a little bit cooler, a little bit wetter. Kaanapali is just kind of right in the middle. I think it has the most beautiful weather in the world. If it's raining up north and I'm driving down the road, as I get to Kaanapali, the sun starts shining and there's a rainbow. I mean, I just think that's the best place in the world for weather. Homes in that area, I mean, you're looking in the 2 to 4 million range for a single family home.
That's the price of seeing the rainbow on a daily basis, right? As you're driving to a Kaanapali. Good, awesome, great discussion on where that has. So hey, if you're watching, what area of what district and what area of what island do you have an interest in? Let me know. I'm curious of kind of what's kind of and why are you kind of choosing? Why are you gravitating towards that whatever area that you're interested in? If you've got that, pop it in the comments. I'd like to know. All right. Let's move on to the next question here that we've got queued up, and this one is finance options for veterans. So this is from Mark and from Arizona, from Goodyear, Arizona. And Mark says, "Hey, my wife and I lived on Oahu and Maui for 20 years. We lived in one building, specifically the Waipuna in Waikiki. We're looking at moving back and wanted to know what the financing of the property is like in Hawaii now. I'm a veteran and would like to use my Veterans Administration benefits. I don't have to, but prefer it that way. VA sometimes gets a bad rap, but I've used it many times without any issues before. I have a good amount to put down if needed, but at 2.25%, would rather put down 10% and not pay the big funding fee and use the money elsewhere. Is this a viable option in the market? Thanks. Love your show." So Mark has a great question. I think it really goes down to like, what's the best option sort of if you're going to use VA financing? And I really enjoyed this slide, Mark, because I too lived at that same condo, the Waipuna in Waikiki, and I really enjoyed. I spent a good year there and had I had the most incredible view of the ocean right out my bedroom window. I would look out in fact, I had a great view out of my bathroom. Look out the bathroom. I saw a great, amazing ocean view. Never had that before. Scott, why don't you take this one? Let's get this one rolling here. You mentioned that you thought this was a really good question. Why don't you give Mark your advice?
Yeah, I love this question, especially for now. So as VA, he mentioned about VA having a reputation for not being as friendly of a loan or as easy to do, having a bad rap. That's completely the opposite now. And it probably changed about 3 years ago. Even before then, it wasn't too bad. That's more of an older school myth. But even for now, it's actually easier to do VA loans than certain conventional loans. In fact, if there's unpermitted issues, VA did not before allow unpermitted issues. They do now. And it's easier for me to get contractor in and get that approved by the VA to be accepted for VA loans. So VA loans are great. They're probably one of the best programs out there. If you qualify for it, you should be using it if you can. Where it's tricky in this market is if you're doing 100% financing and you don't have any cash to show for an appraisal clause, now you've got an issue. But the benefit on the VA loan side, when it comes to single family homes and whatnot, is if you do have money to put down, say the 10%, what I'm doing, for example, is, we did this in Ocean Point. I've done this on a bunch actually this year. We come in, you can do up to 100% financing. So for example, we did one at 1.2 million, but yet we were bringing in, I think it was 150,000 for the down payment. And we were saying, hey, if the appraisal came in short, we'll use that 150,000 somewhere in there to make up the difference. And we got into first position. So we were able to compete with people that way. So you have that flexibility of a high percentage of borrowing on the purchase price, up to 100%, but then you can use whatever reserves or whatever down payment you had to be able to cover yourself in this market. Where it gets a little interesting, and they mentioned Waipuna, I love that building, great floor plans, great location, right there in Waikiki. Yep. But when it comes to purchasing condos for VA loans, the main thing is the building has to be a VA approved. If it's not VA approved, you can't do it, or you have to get a lender. I work with a really good lender who can get them approved in the process, but it's hard in this market where you're competing. If it's not already on the list, you're going to have a hard time negotiating to get chosen. Oh, hey, we got to add this extra contingency into the contract. So great loan program, great option. And if you have money for that down or that appraisal clause right now, then you can compete with a VA loan.
Excellent. Thanks, Scott. Hey, we got a couple of comments that popped in. Jeremy loves the Makawao area on Maui. Yeah, that's anywhere on Maui is awesome. Auntie Joyce, we are at the 1,000 elevation with great views and perfect weather. The coffee belt and Aloha recommended. And let's see. And Joseph says Kailua Kalama track, walking access to beach via Kalama Beach Club membership. There you go. Awesome. Great recommendations, everybody. Terrific. Gene says, had a beautiful Halloween and safe. Scott, you're the best. Yeah, Gene, I agree. Scott is the bomb. Fantastic. Hey, Dylan, you are still serving the military, and thank you for your service. You might be the next. Is there anything that you want to fill in that Scott hasn't covered yet about VA loans and things of that nature?
No, Scott covered all of the strategies, which is important. I mean, you can put yourself at a disadvantage when you have a 0% down loan, but if you have the appraisal clause or the ability to cover a gap in the appraisal, that can help. I've used the VA loan. It's a great loan program, and so in most cases, it's more competitive than some of the other low down payment loans because it's a more guaranteed loan, and if you have money to put down or in money in reserves to cover an appraisal gap, you can be very competitive. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Well, we got Kelly over here who says that you can always refi with the VA. VA doesn't like fixers, a lot of hurdles. So I guess that Kelly is speaking from experience.
That is the downside. I mean, it's a condition issue. I mean, you do have to have a livable house that doesn't have any condition issues and isn't majorly unpermitted, right? So if there is a downside, definitely, the VA makes sure that you're not buying junk, right? But if you're buying in a condo and the condo's approved, very smooth, easy process. I've done a ton of them.
Awesome. Heidi, is there anything you want to add to this that we've missed regarding financing options, VA loan strategies, best practices? Anything you want to add?
I mean, yeah, this has been covered, I think, but the most challenging thing is in this market, if you're doing a low down payment loan like VA, it's almost expected that you're going to waive the appraisal contingency. So if the buyer doesn't have the reserves to do that, they often are just continually beat out for offers. So that's just kind of rough right now with VA. And then the other thing is just making sure the condo is approved. There can't be any litigation going on in the condo. And anyway, it's just knowing which condos are approved, which aren't, if you're going for a condo. But that's really about it. And VA loans here on Maui have been closing, and they've actually been closing as faster than some other conventional loans these days, which is interesting because I think some people have the perception, oh, it's going to be really difficult because it's VA, and that's not what I've seen recently. So that's good.
Yeah, that's that's a great point because it's interesting. There's an extra step in the VA loan process. When the appraisal gets done, it actually eventually has to get approved by the VA department or whatever. But what's interesting in this market, why we're able to close VA loans faster, is because the appraisers have a faster turnaround time deadline on the appraisals when they have to be back versus conventional loans. So they have a shorter window to do the appraisal and get it back. Whereas on conventional, we're looking at like 3-4 weeks sometimes on the conventional side. So we're actually able to do VA loans faster in this market because of that.
Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. And Joseph is a happy camper. Thanks. Really like the program. And Jeremy saying VA, a 1 week turnaround time for the appraisal. Jeremy would know because he's getting it. So Jeremy, did you get your appraisal license or certification or classes, or are you still in route? I'd like to know. Fill us in. Awesome. Great job, everybody. Let's move on to the next topic that we got over here. This one is coming out of Maui. So this is from Michelle, who's from Nashville, and Joseph, and they're asking, hey, how do you afford paying? Number one, how to afford it in Hawaii? But I think the real interesting question is, how do you avoid paying inflated housing prices? So my quick snarky answer is, well, don't buy it. That's how you avoid paying inflated prices. If you're going to buy it, you're going to end up paying whatever the price that the market is going. So when someone when someone comes in and they're maybe they're like shell shocked as far as the prices and the price range going on, and it's too expensive. How do they afford it? Dylan, how do you respond to that?
That's all a matter of perspective, right? The way you avoid paying an inflated price is not waiting until the interest rates go up and prices continue to appreciate. So you may feel like you're paying too much now, but if you wait a year and interest rates go up 1% and price appreciation continues 10+%, you're going to be paying significantly more and have less borrowing power and paying more per month for the same house because the interest rate went higher. So I would say not waiting is the way that you avoid it.
Never thought about that. Not waiting. Scott, how do you respond to that? If people say, "Look, I can't afford it. How do I avoid paying this inflated price?" If they believe it's inflated, what's your response?
Yeah, I mean, it is perspective. If you're coming from an area where you can get half-acre parcel with a brand new home at 3,000 square feet for 300,000, you're obviously going to get a little bit shell shocked. Part of that is working with someone like us where we're very good about being able to educate the client, being able to educate you on the market and what to expect, because there's an adjustment period. You have to get used to it and you have to understand what's here. It's as far as affordability, it is what it is. You're either going to qualify or not. You either have the income or you don't. We can go through that process and kind of see what you do qualify for. And then if there are issues, then part of the question is, are there certain things that you can sacrifice on? Do you need to adjust what your needs are or your wants are to, how important is home ownership for you at that point?
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Heidi, how do you respond to that when someone says, "Hey, this is a crazy price. How am I going to, how can I avoid not having to pay this price, or how can I afford these crazy prices in Maui?" What's your response?
Well, I mean, keep in mind the asset that you own in Maui. When you sell it, you're selling it in Maui. So it's really important to just look at the market that you're buying in and get a good value in that market in that moment. You cannot compare it to other markets while you're looking. And then as far as, how do you afford it? Real estate's expensive. It's always been expensive. You just have to decide if it's something that you want to own and jump in. The good thing about real estate is you can live in it.
I think the thing too is you touch on a simple point, and it's overlooked because it's so obvious, but I think it means a lot, which is, well, number one, you live in it, which is you're where you are, but it's also if you're able to hold on to the price, if you haven't overbought where you're in a bad financial situation, if you can afford it, it's, especially in Hawaii, there's a good chance that, if you can hold on to it for a few years, you're going to be able to sell it for more than you bought it for. Now, whether that's 1 year, you'll be able to sell, 1 year, or whether it's 5 years, you're going to be able to sell for more than you bought it for. So it is, one of the best terms I've ever heard is like, it's a forced savings account, right? It's a forced savings account. And if you can get that part, you can get over it. But
and here's some just real world perspective, right? I sold my house a year ago, a little more than a year ago, and when we sold it for $450, I thought, man, this is crazy that someone's going to buy this old house in this neighborhood. They paid over what we were asking for it, and it sold. And then today, there's like houses right next to it selling for $600, right? So that person that bought that house is feeling like a genius today. In my professional opinion, I feel like that was kind of like expensive at the time, and less than 18 months later, they've probably made $100,000+ in equity in that house. So at that time, it may have felt like a lot, but now you feel like a genius. So, it all depends on where you are in your timeline.
And it all depends on the conditions. No one would have, I don't think, I remember, when COVID first struck, right? And like the asteroid hit the planet, right? We were like, man, what is going to happen? We kind of didn't know until there was a little bit of a trend line started, but really, there were a lot of people who lost a lot of money betting against what was going to happen. I'm sure there's a lot of people who thought that the market was going to crash, and it did the exact opposite. And I don't know, it would be fun to know if who accurately predicted that there was going to be such an increase in the I love to know if anyone accurately predicted what was going to happen in Hawaii's real estate market. I think everyone was thinking crash, maybe because we're still sore from the 2008 asteroid, but everybody thought it was going to crash, and it did not. So you never know, right? You never know, Dylan, right?
The happiest people are the ones that bought in 2020. Anybody
Boy, you're not
that
kidding,
bought a
right?
house in 2020 thinks they're a genius. So
you are not kidding. Absolutely, right? Those are great moments if you can get to them. Oh, hey, man, I completely forgot we didn't do our diamonds and deals. Jeez, I'm so frazzled. The power. I'm still like freaking out on the power outage. So why don't we do this real quick? So let's do this real fast, and we'll skip the closing thoughts. I do want to get to our diamonds and deals. Let's move on. And Door of Faith, love this, Heidi. This is what is this, Heidi?
So this is out in Haiku, on a very dramatic sea cliff. It's 2 acres. Large 5-bedroom home and an attached ohana. There's an infinity pool, as you can see in that one picture. It's a diamond and a deal at just about $2.5 million. It is under contract, by the way. But yeah, just a really incredible site. It's spring-fed water, and there is fiber optic high-speed internet, so you can work remotely out there.
Wow, that's Heidi. We'll see, but I think that's the winner for today. That is unbelievable. That almost looks like an airstrip. If I zoom, that looks like a landing field over there. That one straight thing, whatever it is, it's awesome. What an amazing place. And we just talked about those 1,000-foot cliff drops. How's that for a 1,000-foot cliff drop straight into the ocean with that infinity pool? Unbelievable. Hawaii Kai, Scott, what are we looking at over here?
Yeah, this is a pretty unique one, a really cool one. It came on yesterday. So it's in Hawaii Kai. It's in the Valley, Mariners Valley, and it's on a little more than 15,000 square foot lot, which is really big for the area. This is a rim lot. It butts up against the hillside in the valley. So part of the lot is level, and you do have the pool. You got 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. It's over 2,200 square feet of interior living space, renovated. You got these soaring ceilings, a lot of light. It's a really nicely done property. And then the second part of the property that's not level, it terraces up and goes up the hillside. So you got these little perch areas where you can kind of oversee the valley and entertain from. And you got fruit trees and things. So it's super private. You have no back neighbors. It's all conservation land that's in behind you. But yet you have this, really nice level portion as well, and a good size home, great for entertaining and for kids, and with the pool. And it's listed at $1.495 million.
I'd say that's a diamond and a deal at 1.4. Now this is Kalama Valley. Is that where this is at?
It's Mariners Valley. So if you go down the home road right to the back, so you're really close to where the shopping centers are and everything, and the marina. Yeah. So you're not tucked too far back in Hawaii Kai. It's a really good location. Really good.
So a good location. That is I'd have to say, knowing what I've known, what little I see about the market, that seems to be actually a really good price. Diamond and a deal pool with a 2,200 square foot home. Awesome. All right, what do we got left to here? Banyans, 4 bedroom, 5 bath on Banyans Bay, 3.5. Dylan, 3.49. Dylan, what is this?
Yeah, so look at that. It's like a 3-bed or almost a 4-story house there, right on the point. And this is a surfer's paradise. So if you like to surf, there is basically one big bay in Kona that has 2 of the best surf spots. So Banyans is to the south of this house, and then Lyman's is to the north. And Banyans is like the best short board kind of barreling, closest thing to pipeline that we kind of have on the Big Island. And then Lyman's is it's got to be kind of big, but it's this beautiful long left that's a great longboard wave, or just a real mellow break, but it's got to be big when it breaks because it's really deep. So just a super cool location. I mean, 4 bedrooms, 5 baths. I mean, lanais at every story, just ridiculous. You look at that picture on the top left, like just windows just right on the ocean, and it's out on a point. So when you look left and right, I mean, it's like over 180 degree ocean views pretty much. So yeah, just a real rare one. Stuff like this doesn't come up very often.
And that looks absolutely amazing. And Paul says it's Banyans. So Paul, it sounds like Paul surfs out. Paul, are you surfing Banyans? It sounds like you might be surfing Banyans. Awesome. Hey gang, great job today. Look, we're 1 minute shy. Let's just do some really quick closing thoughts. This has been a great great setup over here. Let's play with this. So what's our closing thought for today? Let's go down. Let's go from bottom up. Heidi, Scott, and Dylan. Heidi, what's your closing thought for today?
Just take the time every day to recognize the good things in your life and be grateful. And it's something I try to think about because there's always something good in the day.
Always something good in the day, and be grateful. Amen to that. Hawaii makes it easy. Scott, what's your thought of the day?
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Halloween. I was going to get a costume, but I ran out of time. It would have been fun being on here with a really goofy looking costume, but happy Halloween, everybody.
Hey, you had your that's right. You were the guy that had the fun Christmas hat, of course. How could we forget? How could we forget? And thanks, Paul. Paul has done that, and Kualu, excellent. And Lynn says, enjoy always catching the live stream. Aloha Friday. Yeah, welcome, Lynn. And hey, folks, welcome, Lynn. If you've got any closing thoughts, love to hear your closing wisdom. Pop them in the comments. Of course, we always look forward to the great Dylanism every other Friday. Dylan, what's your closing thought for today?
So my thought for the week, I heard this weekend. It was like really stuck with me. I added to my list. So the worst thing you can be is a level 10 player in a level 5 opportunity. And it's business related, but I think about it in life too, right? If you want to live life to level 10, but you live in a place that only lets you do it to level 5, you got to change your opportunity. You got to change your environment, right? So don't be a level 5 player, or don't be a level 10 player in a level 5 opportunity.
You're going to be a level 10 player, go to be a level 10 player.
And the same is true in business and career, right? I mean, if you're not reaching your full potential where you're at and you have more potential, go someplace else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Mahalo, Tom. We're glad that you're a part of our show and glad that you stuck it all the way through. I came across my another favorite proverb. I don't come across these often, but when I do want to share them. I came across a great thing in Proverb. The book of Proverbs, I highly recommend it, whether you're religious or not. It's an amazing wisdom in the book. The human mind may devise many plans, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will be established. And what that means to me is that basically, you can make whatever plans that you want, but it is the plans of whatever you're connecting to, whatever higher power you connecting to a higher power. Those are the plans that are established. You may think of one thing or another, but those higher plans, in other words, align yourself to higher plans. That's my thought for the day. All right, folks. Well, I think that's about it. We're gonna close this one up. I want to thank you all for giving thank you all for being here, Auntie Joyce, and Paul, and who else we got over in Janine? Hallelujah. Indeed, Janine. Pam, great to have you here. Bernard, welcome. Great that you were a part of it. Amen. And aloha to that. Bernard's working with Scott. And Judy, thanks, Judy. I'm great. Thank you, Judy, for giving a plug to joining the Al Nirhana. All right, folks, we're going to say goodbye. Let's do a quick round clockwise. Dylan, Scott, and Heidi, go.
Hello, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Aloha.
Aloha, everybody. Thanks again. Thanks, Ray, and thanks, Heather. Oh, Ray, good to see you again. All right, folks. Y'all take care. Aloha.